Okay, my friends, here it is. In this video, I'm going to show you the top crops that I grow in order to combat rising food prices. Because when we see the price of food going up, up, it's not coming down, okay? Keep that in your mind. So when food prices go up, the price of everything is going up. So I'm going to explain the list, I'm going to show you concrete examples, and then I'm going to explain to you exactly why each thing is chosen and why you should be doing it this upcoming growing season. Because as the season approaches, you have to understand that your real estate in the garden is very valuable, but it's only as valuable as you make it. I've done hundreds of consultations with you guys at this point, so I've been doing this a long time, and I know what you guys are doing. I know the issues, and I know the burnout. I know all that. And so what I see is that so many people are putting lots of effort and energy and love into their garden, but not really feeling like they're getting much out of it. It's like, well, it's just a labor of love. You know, I love being out in the garden and hands in the soil, which is wonderful. So do I. But primarily the reason I'm growing is for abounding health, for supreme health. That is the whole point of the entire thing. And that's physical health through the things that we'll be eating, but that's also mental peace of mind. It's invaluable. A satisfied mind is invaluable. So with that in mind, let us get into this. Now, the list is structured in two ways. One is the calorie crops, okay? So I see people growing 8 different kinds of lettuces, and that's all great, but when I see a lot of people's gardens, I'm like, well, where's the actual food? You know, leafy greens all have their place, but if prices keep rising and rising, what you're gonna need is calories. That is the only thing that actually sustains you is calories. And so with that in mind, the number one thing is potatoes. Guys, potatoes are a marvel of nature. This is stored solar energy, okay? The potato plant captures the sunlight, combines it with all of the elements, and stores the solar energy for next year's tuber production. Now, we can pick this out of the ground, and when stored properly, as these were, they will last all winter long. And contrary to popular belief, potatoes are an amazing source of nutrition. They've been vilified because of how they're prepared with the French fries and the seed oils and all that stuff they're fried in, and table salt, yada yada. These kind of homegrown potatoes have virtually all the nutrients that you need for a period of time, okay? They're the only crop, vegetable crop, that the human can survive on for a long time just eating potatoes, all right? They're very filling, they're very giving of energy. Beyond any doubt, number one is the potatoes, guys. And if you want my top recommendations, the German butterball is superior among all, because you can use it for mashing, frying. We just boil them and then sprinkle salt on them and eat them with a slab of butter. They're amazing, okay? Another one is the French fingerling. These hold up really well to stewing for a long time, all right? And they've got amazing yields, and they store all winter, okay? As far as calories per square foot, nothing, in my opinion, beats the potato. Next up is the sweet potato, guys. Extremely expensive to buy if you buy them organically and regularly. Very expensive, very full of nutrients, all kinds of good stuff in them. Can be prepared in a number of different ways to keep food boredom from happening in a high price, lean sort of resource situation. And very importantly, it thrives in poor soil. Sweet potatoes thrive in poor soil. In fact, if you fertilize them too much, then they become really small and they don't store very long. So if you have poor sandy soil, or if you're not going to have the money to invest in any kind of fertilizer, put the sweet potatoes there. And you can eat the greens like a spinach. It's not quite like spinach, it's not quite as good, but the greens can definitely be sauteed and stir-fried, and then at the end of the season, you've got a boatload of tubers, and it's the best storing crop of all the crops, okay? The sweet potato will store for a year or more. I mean, I've had them last almost 2 years in storage, guys, if they're done right, okay? Massively undervalued survival crop. Next up, guys, is gonna be winter squash, like this Jarradale or the Tahitian melon squash. Now, this is a marvel of nature as well, because you can get a massive supply from just one plant. You can have all that you would need all season, all right? Now, sure, grow 2 or 3 plants and you will have so much of this, and they store all winter long, no problem if you do the right varieties. Jardale, Tahitian melon squash, those last the longest. And so they're packed full of nutrients and they're fresh food. You have to understand the importance of having the food security crops that you can store without refrigeration. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, winter squash, okay? This is still fresh food, guys. We cut into this and it's nice, succulent, delicious flesh that we're going to roast and then eat. Very nourishing, very good for the eyes, eyesight, extremely important in a survival type situation, okay? Or just in general. You can roast them, mash them, and feed them to your babies. They make a wonderful baby food, guys. Very good quality carbohydrates and micronutrients. Next up on our list, as far as the calorie category is concerned, is dried beans. Massively undervalued because of the work that it requires to shell them. But wait a moment and I will show you exactly how to do it, guys. So these are Good Mother Stallard beans. These are Purple Hull pink eye peas, also known as like black-eyed peas or like cow peas. Now, these are super rich in proteins and fibers, okay? Very, very good for you, very filling, all kinds of good stuff for the gut. Also, they store indefinitely. You can have them last 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, they become less, able to sprout, but you can eat them years down the road, guys. Very wonderful survival crop, very easy to grow, and extremely expensive if you're trying to buy them organically. You have to basically get them from specialty markets and stuff like that. So definitely don't be sleeping on these. Now, this brings us to our next category. Now that we have the calories taken care of, our next category is going to be the supporting and the medicinal things. Because listen, if prices keep rising, that means that your ability to pay for things, just all things, is going to decrease. Things are going to get more lean. And so what is the primary, most important thing? Listen, guys, remember this, okay? In normal life, there are many things that we think are so important until the day we get sick. And then we realize there was only one thing that was ever actually important, and that is our health. And so, as times get lean, you don't got the money and the resources to be going to the doctor and getting sick and being out of work and all of that. We need to thrive. So we've got the calorie crops, and now the rest of what I'm going to show you is going to ensure that you are thriving. Your gut microbiome is very important. So, garlic, super powerful antimicrobial, one of the key crops that we grow because very expensive in the store, yet very easy to grow yourself, and it stores all winter long. And it's got compounds in it that are antimicrobial, and so it's medicine food, all right? These next things are going to be like medicine food. We can eat garlic every day, wonderful for us, and very high return on space. You can fit 150 cloves in a very small little area. We got 500 cloves that will be bulbs out there right now, overwintering, and so we're gonna have plenty. Now the next thing in line with that is going to be onions, guys. And this is the Rosa di Milano onion, another variety that I love and that works good in zone 5/6, northern Indiana, is the yellow of Parma and also the New York early. Those are white ones, but this is the best red one of all, guys. And the onion is a perfect prebiotic, okay? Listen, gut health is everything. In the ancient Indian medicine tradition of Ayurveda, everything comes down to gut health, Agni, your digestive fire. How efficiently can your body take what it ingests, rip it down into its elements, and then use it to rebuild human tissue, brain tissue, heart tissue, lung tissue, all of this. They say, and I have also found this true in my life, the more efficient your digestion, your digestive fire, the healthier and more full of life you are. And so the onion is absolutely perfect in this ends. Stores all winter, a good prebiotic. Your probiotics need the prebiotics, the things to eat from, okay? So definitely don't be sleeping on the onions. Now the next one might surprise you, and this is cabbage. but in so long as it pertains to fermentation. Guys, if you want to understand a thriving gut microbiome and therefore a thriving immune system, start incorporating fermented foods just a little bit daily into your eating routine, and you will be amazed at how wonderful you feel. Now, cabbage, now in this group, we could also put together the other things that ferment really well. All the Napa cabbage, daikon radish, lots of other things for fermenting. Now, I want you to appreciate what we have here, okay? This is fresh, raw cabbage out of the garden. We grew it this year and it stores all winter long. It's crunchy, it's delicious, it's full of natural probiotics. It's very easy to digest because it is pre-digested by the microorganisms, and it pairs with everything else. So it makes heavy starchy things like potato meals way better, way more tolerable, way more delicious, way easier to digest. When you've got them heavy beans and potatoes, you need this stuff in order to stoke your digestive fire. And cabbages are really easy to grow and you get massive yields, all right? Although I do not recommend the Sapporo Giant. In my opinion, it makes terrible sauerkraut. Go with the Mammoth Red Rock if you want red. Go with the Gloria Weinkusen for the spring planted cabbage. It's fast. Or go with the Brunswick cabbage for the full-on fall, delicious, cold hardy cabbage. Next on the list is ginger and turmeric, all right? Extremely expensive to buy, yes. Also, very well documented to be a medicinal powerhouse. Thousands of years ago, they have been consuming ginger and turmeric to support the production of digestive enzymes and to reduce gut inflammation. And it stores extremely well. Guys, this is ginger, turmeric, lemon, and honey. Fermented, super delicious, medicinal. Just take a bite here and there and you are thriving. Again, very easy to grow if you do it right. You have to have your system down. Before I get into the last couple of things that are very important, and then also including what I will not be growing, I want you to understand that it doesn't matter if you've picked the exact right crops or the exact right varieties if your system for growing is insufficient. And so with that in mind, I want to remind you, if you want, there is the Viking Growing System course where I have distilled my lifetime of knowledge and experience in growing in one easy to digest course that you can get and get that knowledge in a clear, concise manner. All of the course content is 100% original. You will not find it on my YouTube channel. And I just completed or am completing the module where I show you guys how to automate your watering. I show you guys in the screaming hot Southwest, the most conservative way that you can arrange your garden. I show you also the cheapest of all methods of sustainable gardening. The least amount of work input for the maximum amount of output. That's what it's all about. Link is in the description. So guys, tomatoes is next on the list because if you've ever had a store-bought tomato, it's absolutely a joke. It's a pale reflection of what homegrown tomatoes are. So this makes good sauce, aroma tomatoes. Also, you can make the dehydrated, shelf-stable tomato powder, which is like shelf-stable tomato paste, all right? We use this for the phytonutrients, the lycopene, very important, especially for men, and it flavors so many other things. And it pairs well with another of the cheap and very sustaining things, pasta. So you can make a tremendous amount of different meals with homegrown tomato sauce and paste and powder. Last but not least is going to be bell peppers, guys. Contrary to popular understanding, the bell pepper dwarfs citrus as far as its vitamin C content. It has double the vitamin C content per cup as oranges or lemons or limes, any of that kind of stuff. So look, we ferment. These are fresh bell peppers that we grew over the summer with a couple sprigs of thyme. We fermented them and now they are storing in the refrigerator. They're nice and crunchy. They're full of the vitamin C, which keeps us well, but it also is filled with the microorganisms bursting with life. And here's another thing you can do with it, guys. You can smoke the peppers like this Ivarsky pepper, dehydrate it, and now you have homegrown smoked paprika that just smells like butter and oak and such a delicious, inviting smell. Very good, guys. This basically is impossible to get. You will not find anything this good in the store. So it doesn't even matter how much you would try and buy it for. They just don't have this quality of stuff in the store. Okay, guys, now I already hear a lot of you going, what about fruits? What about different fruits? Those are really expensive. Yes, I agree, but several things. Number one, we are in northern Indiana, which does not naturally grow very many fruits. And if it does, they have a short season. And they don't store very well. And so for that reason, yes, we'll have fruits when they're in season. We've got a small orchard that we planted, peaches and apples and plums and things like that, blackberries, but their window is very small and they don't store, all right? So yes, you can plant that stuff, but if you wanna focus your garden, I suggest you focus on these crops here. So there you go, my friends. I will see you every Saturday, 12 noon Eastern time for the live Q&A.